Welcome back again. We're carrying on talking about the monetization of the connected cars. And I have with me three experts and looking forward to the discussion. May I start with Thomas Mercier, Practice Lead Market Development at AppDirect. Many of you or anyone who has come across cloud services and cloud ecosystem would probably have heard of AppDirect. Thomas has over 20 years experience dealing with large telecom operators, carriers, major players in the IoT markets in Europe and Asia Pacific. Engineer by education. Thomas' dream was actually to start in automotive business, and by circumstances and life comes differently, so he now actually is in the best position. He's ahead of his automotive colleagues in actually understanding how to take the sector to the next level. So that's a really interesting story. Julien is heading up Connected Cars division at Orange Business Services. Extensive experience in infotainment and telematics within automotive industry. And we can see how infotainment and telematics actually, back in the day, were born in a car industry, have become the hype of Internet of Things, and how all that innovation actually goes back to the roots of some General Motors R&D project that never was launched. Julien worked, among others, with companies like Clarion and Packard Automotive, with Nissan and Renault, so has a very balanced view and very holistic view on both sides of those players. And Gustavo, Filip, who is running global business BMW proposition from HP Enterprise. He's been with HP for 8 years. Started with responsibility for the German industry, so he has seen the best of the best and the tier 2 of the automotive car makers before taking over that global responsibility for BMW, where HPE actually, that was a new fact for me. Did you know that HP Enterprise have launched a connected car service 10 years ago? I didn't, so thank you for this part of education. We start, as this is another discussion panel, the format is the same as we had before. We'll have presentations and a round of questions. If anyone, by all means, from the audience has a burning desire to ask a question, just come to the mic and get our attention, wave, jump, dance, anything we do, and we'll involve you into the conversation. Thank you very much. We'd like to start with presentation by Thomas. Welcome, Thomas. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ilona, for the introduction. I'm very pleased to be here today and have the opportunity to talk about AppDirect. I don't know if you've heard about AppDirect before, so I'm going to say a few words about the company. I just want to say that it's a bit difficult to do that presentation after the one from Magnus from Ericsson. I realize that we are effectively competing in this automotive business. I'm happy also to understand this because it sounds that there is a business, there is some opportunities, and that's definitely where this market is going around the monetization. So just a few words about the company. It's been founded 2011 in the US, and we are saying we are a leading cloud platform, commerce platform for app and services, and especially for cloud services. And today, our mission is to power the majority of the world's software transaction. It's a bit of an ambition, but this is really where we want to be. We are now a unicorn. For those who don't know, it's a company with a value of more than $1 billion. And we are now powering cloud service commerce for leading companies across the world. We started in the telecom business, and we are now moving into the new markets where effectively there is a strong need for monetization, billing capabilities for added value services. And automotive and IoT are our main key focus now. So the company is HQ in the US. We've raised $245 million. We invested almost $100 million in building our platform. So that's a huge investment. And we are offering it, providing as a SaaS model. So it's really a constantly investment in R&D, bringing new services, new ideas for our customers and our future customers. Today it's 5 million paying businesses, and we've got 800 employees across the world and 12 locations. So this is some of our main customers, and if we make a quick focus on the automotive, which is a bit new market for us. We've been successful in providing solutions, especially around cloud services with JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, which has been launched in the vehicle last year. And we've also deployed and launched a system with TomTom, providing them with a marketplace where they can, for specific verticals, offer apps, services, and where they can start monetizing those services. We are a first-tier member of the Geneva Alliance and also a board member of the CVTA. So that picture shows what AppDirect family is. AppDirect, as I said, was funded in 2011. And since that, we have done different acquisitions in order to really address the growing demand for a better way to consume the growth of the cloud services. So I won't go through all these ones, but that's definitely we should see it as a journey for really supporting large organizations like the car OEM or some other players to adopt and go into that cloud service and where you can start monetizing. So, and all these different services we're offering can be in one shot or can be deployed in different steps. They are all cloud-based and they really support your approach about the cloud services. So how do we position our solution and how do we want to address this? I will call it the IoT, where for us, automotive is really part of this IoT. This is where we see really an important work to be done between the car OEM, automakers, and all the content providers which are willing to bring new experience of services using data, using everything we know now about the connected car. And now if we look at what kind of services, and I think there is a fundamental new change in bringing new type of services for the consumer, and that's where you can start putting some more personal data, personalization, identity. You need to know your consumer, your driver, and that's where you can start looking at bringing new type of revenue streams, and that's where you will need monetization. As I mentioned, the data is something. I'm not an expert on connected vehicle. Okay, however, we understand. I read, and data is becoming an amazing value if you properly use them, if you properly offer services in return to your consumer, to your customers. And more specifically on monetization, that's our experience and pedigree. We see that is bringing monetization into that industry is not a major difference from what we've seen in the other industry, like the telecom, for example. And the experience you have on a smartphone today, which is very simple, you can easily purchase, you can do a lot of things within your smartphone, should really become the same type of approach for any type of device, including a vehicle. And the monetization, bringing monetization to the connected vehicle, it's not only about a relation between a car OEM and a consumer, someone who will buy the vehicle effectively, but it's really about creating an ecosystem. Because into that ecosystem, you have different players, people who will be able or willing to pay to access the data, to offer in return a value-added service for the consumer. So the consumer may not pay anything, but just by giving access to his data, in return, will get some kind of like a discount or voucher if you go to the repair or any type of service you could expect. And that's where we see also the insurance with the UBI coming in, stepping in. So opening also to other part of the IoT ecosystem, smart cities, everything about your house, connected house. So it's really about bringing monetization not just for the vehicle, but into a large ecosystem involving different players. So the answer to that for AppDirect is really about the fact we can bring all the different pieces you need to build that ecosystem and really think about how you're going to find new streams of revenue, how you're going to start monetizing, and what kind of connected experiences you want to bring to your customer and consumers. So question is, how will, that's our vision, but how will the automotive manufacturer will get there? And that's where we think there are some foundations for a cloud-based system. If a vehicle is a long life cycle to develop it, and also when it runs into the field. But now, being connected, it offers large possibilities for really bringing dynamically new type of service. So it's really about to orchestrate apps and services. It's also about knowing your user, profiling. If you know your user, you have their identity, you will be able to distribute and provide the relevant services to them. And maybe they will be happy to pay for something. You need also to end the software life cycles. You know, the software changes, you have new updates, new versions. The important services are changing very frequently. So you need to have the platform, the ecosystem to support that into a vehicle. And finally, you need to remain platform agnostic. So that's, you know, we are a white label platform. So we believe that, and we have some good cases where you can have different brands using different type of services for connecting the device. At the end, you may want to rationalize the number of platforms or number of services you're operating. That's it.
Okay.
Pretty much on time.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah.
Over to Gustavo. Thank you.
So, buenas tardes, all together. Yes, we heard. Oh. Thank you.
That was magic.
So digital fuel for connected cars. We heard a lot today in the morning about disruption. I think disruption is nothing new. This has been all time during mankind, has been a process that we have seen. But what is really, really different today is the speed and the geographical spread of disruption. So today it happens all at the same time, and this is great on the one side. It creates a lot of opportunities, but of course a lot of challenges of the other side. I'm from Hewlett Packard Enterprise, so I talk about technology. So that's what I can give you an idea what's behind connected cars. And as Ilona said, we are doing this for one premium car manufacturer in Germany for many, many years, more than 10 years, and saw a lot of development in the last years. So we see compute everywhere, and when we talk about compute, we are seeing that it's a bigger idea. It's about apps, data, Wi-Fi, 5G, sensors, all that. It's behind the connected car technology. And the big question is how to take the data from the cars and how to make money out of that. This is a really brilliant question. We all agree, I think, that data is the fundamental enabler for that use cases to provide and to monetize. Look at EMEA showed that exactly that way. So this is, I think we can all agree that these are the 4 major trends in automotive. So it's about connected cars, it's about electrical vehicles, shared mobility, and autonomous driving. And I totally agree that connected cars is the kind of service that makes all that possible. Perhaps not so much electrical vehicles, but shared mobility and autonomous driving, it's based on connected cars, more or less. So if we think of all the shift in the market, this is quite remarkable, what will happen. And all the different brands are working on that. All they are launching shared companies, like BMW with Drive Now, like VW with a new brand called Moya. So these all are on that way. Daimler created Movil for the shared mobility. All are working on electrical cars. But the connected car, it's really an old story. I remember must be 15 years ago, the VW Group created a special company called Telematics to address the connected car. And it was based on very simple technology, SMS technology, so it was very, very shrinked to that text messages. But we were very developed in the ideas, and we are since 15 years, we are looking how to earn money with connected car. So the question is really not simple. So here it's interesting, Audi decided in 2003, I think, to stop all the telematic activities because they didn't find a customer who was willing to pay for that. At the same time, BMW put in every car a SIM card, a programmable SIM card, because they believed in that market. So today, all are pushed by smartphones, and this is the customer experience that it's generating the pressure. And yeah, this is the big question, how to make money out of that. McKinsey estimates in a study between 400 and 700 billion of dollars in 2030. It's not my opinion, it's McKinsey's opinion. But you see there is a big, big question mark behind earning money with connected car. So what does this mean for the IT? We see here a lot of challenges and opportunities as said. First of all, the growth. We see that customers are using connected car very, very intensively. So the growth in the amount of data, but also the growth in the number of cars. But the services are unpredictable. It's very, very hard to say, okay, which service will be effectively in which region. For example, in the US, they like to have concierge services. They use it very, very often and intensively. In Germany, especially men, don't like concierge services. They like to do it all by their own because they are intelligent people and they say, okay, I can do it without a concierge service. Different markets, different expectations. On the other side, of course, we have a race between smart phones, mobility, and these connected cars. And if you know Google Now, for example, it gives you a lot of services based on the data where you are located and the data on your phone. And this is really impressive what they take out of that. And this is the race between the two. And I think Google Now tells me where is my car. There is no connection to the car, but it knows perfectly well where is parked my car. And they are developing a service to tell you where are free parking places. Again, without any connection to the car. So this is the race between the connected car industry from the premium brands or from the automotive brands and Google, Amazon, and so on. We have to integrate an ecosystem. This is also a hard part for the IT. And I am totally convinced that, and this is what we discuss with our customers, the difference will be with use cases that are deeply involved with the car, which make the car adaptable to the situations, to the needs of the customer. The things that are not connected with the car, that are possible via phone, via platform, will be a domain of Google, Amazon, and Apple, and so on. That's our conviction. And we made a prototype with BMW, connecting our IoT platform with the car, showing this kind of use cases where you adapt the car to the road conditions, to traffic conditions, to the personal profile, and so on. So how do we manage that? So our vision is that the applications on the other side and the data will be spread between hybrid IT. So this is what is hybrid IT? We call hybrid IT a mixture of the traditional IT, the public cloud, and the private cloud. So this is on the one side. On the other side, we call it intelligent edge. We see more and more data created in the car. So that would be the edge. The edge could be also a machine or whatever, but in this case, it would be the car. We see more and more data there, and we are sure that you cannot transport all sensor data back to the data center, analyze it, and take it back to the car. This will not work. This would be an excellent business for Thomas, I think, from Orange. But I believe we will see more and more built-in data analysis in the edge. So we have to, in the hybrid side, we have to develop a so-called development and operations platform that is very, very agile to cope with that expectations from the customer. It has to be a flexible consumption because we cannot predict how it expands. We have to have an ecosystem of partners, and my time is running. So I can talk for hours, but what is the important thing? How do I can't tell you how to earn money, but I can tell you how to make some economics on the IT that will be behind of that. One example, when we are talking about autonomous cars, the prediction of BMW, R&D CIO member, board member, Fröhlich said, they have today 60 petabytes of data created overall history in R&D, and they expect 600 petabytes in the next 3 years. So that's huge. It's 10 times more than what they have today. So how to manage this data? This is a huge, huge question, and this is our all investments, and this is why they are creating partnerships between IT companies or technology companies and the brands. So I cannot go in detail because my time is over, but that would be like a factory, how to provide high velocity innovation and deployments. This is something we do with one of the premium brands in Germany. So we constantly innovate and put that on the road. And for that, if you think, just to have an example, Facebook makes 1,000 deployments a day, worldwide, of course. 1,000. So this doesn't work by just programming, testing, testing again. So it must be automatically. And even if we don't reach that level at an automotive, we have to see some kind of automatical DevOps process. So, come to an end. What is my conclusion? Successful use cases will deeply involved with the car. It will be connected with the physics of the car, and we need for that a real-time Internet of Things. Second, to have this agility, we need a hybrid IT supporting all that in that regions. And third, we will have all this computing on the edge to process this amount of data in the different devices. So last words, and I think Elon Musk is a known man. And I think he's right. We have to be prepared to make failures, because otherwise we don't innovate fast enough. And this is for the traditional automotive industry really big challenge. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Julien Masson. I'm head of automotive vertical in the Orange Group. I'll give you a very short overview of what Orange is doing on the connected car vertical. And I really liked the presentation made by my Ericsson colleagues before, who pointed out that telcos and car manufacturers were maybe struggling a few years ago to work together with different life cycles. Now we are really reaching a stage where things are happening together. And indeed, we're not talking about 10, 20, 30, 70% of take rate of connected cars. What we see from 2020 are really in Europe, in the US, China, line fitment of connected vehicles and connected systems to make cars connected. Oops. Okay, so just a few words very quickly about Orange. I guess, especially in Spain, you must be familiar with Orange network operator for end consumers. I'm actually part of Orange Business Services, which is serving with 21,000 employees, major enterprises and customers, historically with MPLS lines, underwater cables, so not very fancy stuff, but stuff that we need to communicate. And there is a major thing happening that is called now IoT, Internet of Things. We call that machine to machine in the past. Within the IoT sphere, which is strategic for every single network operator, including Orange, a lot of those connected devices are actually located into vehicles. So end of last year, we had Orange was enabling connectivity for about 12 million devices, and 40% of those are actually cars. And I hate calling a car a device, but it is true that there are a lot of similarities in managing a device and what you need to do with a car. Even though with a car, the amount of data that can be retrieved and uploaded by car manufacturers is huge, is really huge. So on those 5 million vehicles today, and this number will grow very rapidly. We are addressing actually 3 main markets within this connected car vertical. The market that you see on the left side, and there are a few customer names at the bottom here, is the OEM market, which is a major market with car manufacturers, light commercial vehicles manufacturers, truck makers with very unique needs who know connected vehicles and telematics since a very long time. And a new phenomenon, so beside OEMs, which are actually their tier 1 suppliers. The companies who are doing the electronics and the communication means which are equipping those vehicles. And typically, so here you see that Orange is enabling Renault, smart vehicles, Tesla in France for the time being. But a major change that you can see is that those tier 1 suppliers are actually now looking into a new way of delivering what they're doing. They've been supplying parts, innovative parts, technology to the car industry, but now they are really equipping themselves and preparing themselves with IoT platforms. for predictive maintenance, to be able to monitor how the parts they supply to the car industry are evolving over time, and even maybe to go beyond and becoming mobility providers. The second market that we are addressing is the market of what I call the service provider and large enterprises, where we serve typically fleet management companies who are really focusing on the TCO, on the total cost of ownership, on being operational and efficient with the fleet. The insurance company who are launching a usage-based insurance program on the pay-as-you-drive, pay-how-you-drive, and everything around car as a service. So here you're going to see big names, Hertz, for instance, but also many startups and also non-startups anymore, and some of them came on the stage this morning here. And all those companies have connectivity needs, and connectivity goes beyond having a data plan and a voice plan. It goes far beyond that. The third market we are addressing is what I call the consumer market, where Orange, as a MNO, has also a word to give. And typically, the type of services that we are enabling here are a Wi-Fi hotspot functionality inside the car, content delivery to the end user, and the ability to use that in mobility. So how do we connect those 5 million vehicles? We do that through Data Avenue, which is the Orange solution for IoT. And obviously, when you have an IoT program, there are several pieces, several core elements. We are definitely coming from the connect portion. We facilitate data transmission, and we're enabling vehicles to download and upload data from the cloud. We are also helping our customers in selecting the relevant devices and sensors, the smart sensors. So on automotive, it's quite specific, but on other verticals, typically for smart cities, for track and trace, Orange recommends some specific devices that we test and evaluate on our network to ensure that they behave correctly on the network. And we also help some OEMs and car manufacturers with their reference design for cars. On the managed portion, we either do directly or partner for the data analytics with all these amount of data that are being retrieved, collected, and there are obvious functions, services that you can enable, but there are many other applications that we cannot predict today. And there is a big challenge in deciding what you are also doing with those huge amount of data. And a key point, which is really end-to-end from the left to the right, which is the control. At every step of the select, the connect, and the manage, you really, first of all, you need to integrate the solution, this end-to-end solution. But more than anything, and especially with connected cars today and even more tomorrow with highly autonomous driving coming, the cybersecurity aspect of this value chain is essential. Because on a connected car value chain, you've got more than 50 areas where you can see, let's say, failures. You can see failure on the select portion embedded inside the car. You can see issues in the network and issues on the platform which is used to manage those data. So we at Orange are enabling this connectivity for vehicles for, I would say, two major categories of applications. On the left side, you have some representation of what I call the vehicle-centric services, which are mostly OEM-driven, safety and security, but also fleet management, insurance, also car as a service, electric mobility, the preparation of autonomous driving. But we are also enabling the services to the end user, to the consumers and the people who are inside this cockpit. Some services relate to helping the driver finding the right directions, the trip information, a personal virtual assistant inside the car. And some of them are really related to entertainment, with an in-car Wi-Fi solution, with audio-video distribution inside the vehicle, and the ability to work also inside the cockpit, especially with autonomous driving along the road. So how do we do that? We have, through that avenue, we really have several PCs, and we work together with those key players in the industry. We partner, it's essential, to deliver them a flexible solution, to have the ability to work with Orange and also some of our MNO partners like Deutsche Telekom, TeliaSonera, TIM, and so on, so that they can choose the best partners across the globe. And we have the ability, and we can talk about that later on, to, with one SIM card, to have several data channels, data pipes. So with one SIM, electronic SIM, we have the ability to address those vehicle-centric services, more for the OEM, and also to let the end users purchase data plans, 1 gigabyte, 2 gigabyte, 5 gigabyte, more, with this Wi-Fi hotspot functionality and the ability to retrieve content.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to start the conversation now. As I mentioned earlier, if somebody would like to ask a question, just go to the mic and make sure we see you. Let's talk about teenage sex. It does remind me somewhat monetization of car data, and everyone has been talking about it. The ones of us who read the global strategy consulting firms report, 64 pages report on monetization of car data. And I myself had dollar signs in my eyes. I thought they've cracked it. And I read up until the half, and I thought the other half is just hopeless. Do you see, and you see the automotive, kind of the industry and the ecosystem for that matter, objectively enough from the outside, can you say someone really cracked it? Can you say someone, or give us examples that are simple, clear, where you see some OEMs are being successful with it? Julien?
I'll give it a try. One very concrete example, the average revenue per SIM for us, a network operator. When we equip one SIM card inside one of those cars in one of those cars at car manufacturers, the average revenue per SIM ranges between, let's say, 50 cents to €1. The average revenue per vehicle per month. Okay, that's a car manufacturer for basic connectivity needs today. If you take a fleet manager, somebody who's really delivering an added value services on top of that connectivity, today in Europe is going to make about between 15 and 20 euros per vehicle per month. So, and today this business is, there is room today for many players in monetizing and in making a good use of those data by delivering an actual service. There's a lot going on right now with actually the car manufacturers controlling those vehicle data and reselling, making those data available to third-party providers. But they really want, I believe, and we can comment on that, but they need to keep a certain level of control for basic security aspects. And they will then, by default, be the ones who will not own the data, but they will be the ones who are hosting those data and making them available to some others. So yes, there is room to monetize the data. Fleet management is one example. Car as a service is another example. There are big challenges on who owns those data and huge debates.
So I see, yes. If we see the premium brands in Germany, they earn a lot of money with the packages at the beginning. So they sell you a package with navigation and extra plus and so on for 5,000, 7,000 euros. So they make really money with that. Question is, 70, 80% of these cars are business cars. So you don't pay the bill, your company pay the bill. So the question is if you would privately pay also 7,000 euros for that package. But on the other side, there are appearing some services, like, for example, speech recognition, where this is subscription. And so you get 1 year in the package, and the next year you have to pay the subscription. I paid the subscription because it was okay, it was attractive, it was good enough, the service. I say, okay, I paid, but don't ask me how much, but I forgot that. It's not 1,000 euros, it's not 500 euros, but it was an amount where you think, okay, do I need that, yes or no? But yes, this was a good example. I think there's a lot of good examples also in the B2B for insurance, as you know, that case is where they really earn money. But the big jump will come when we see services that are really connected to the car. For example, the new 5 Series from BMW, it's offering now parking place, so it detects parking place in the city. I would pay for that. This is a good usage. If I can reserve parking, I would. And they asked in the McKinsey study, they asked, would a lot of regions and people, are they willing to pay? Yes, they will be willing to pay. But this is just coming out in this month.
I think it's a brilliant example, isn't it? With parking, yeah.
Thank you. We've been new in this automotive market business, but so far we have had some good use cases. And I think from what you were saying is, I think firstly it's key now for the driver to adopt and understand that the car is going to be connected. So if you start by charging upfront things or giving access to services where they have to pay, they won't do the shift between using a smartphone and really using what is into a vehicle. So that's the one thing. So then you can start, if you have the right services to offer as a premium, then people might effectively start paying for getting something different. The other thing is the B2B. I think you mentioned it. This is where potential, like in the telco market, people in the B2B, like fleets, enterprises, etc., might be willing to pay for a service that will effectively serve and help their business. Okay, so that's the other thing. The third case is, I think I did mention a bit on my presentation. This is about an ecosystem. So if we look at data, who's going to pay for data? I won't pay for my data. So people might be willing to pay for accessing data, insurance, where me, as a driver, I will be willing probably to pay for a service using the data. So the ecosystem is not that simple. And I think there are different initiatives very interesting to follow up, definitely.
And just to complement on that, there are actually companies on the B2B, so fleet management companies, but for example, Drivey this morning who was on the stage, they are already paying car manufacturers for accessing the vehicle data with the equipment that is now being line fitted inside cars, instead of installing by themselves with a distributor and a local installer this black box with the connectivity, and they will pay a monthly bill to the OEM, to BMW, to Renault and so on, to access the vehicle data.
Thank you. Thomas, you mentioned in your presentation and just now the term ecosystem. Yeah, and fundamentally it's not a kind of straightforward transactional relationship. It is much more complex. And if I just look at the client list that you have, it spans from telco to OEMs to tier one. So actually, do you see yourself as AppDirect somewhere as a marketplace yourself to actually bring the players together?
Yeah, that's our ambition, effectively. We want to be a place where connecting different worlds or environments, it's really about the end user the end user experience. Okay, so we are now more used to have a smartphone, to being connected, accessing things, using it as remote for everything. So I think now being in a car, driving to my home, getting some data, opening the garage door or whatever. So I think or within the city now, smart cities being connected. So it's really, really important to really look at this ecosystem from the day one, how it will look like in the future. And I think there are so many presentations, so many good insights from different large organizations about what's going to be the future. So if you look at building something now, you have to, look at what would be a great platform to start investing on. And that's where we think we have a first good answer.
Thank you. Gustavo, you mentioned the i3 example. I think fascinating is, very impressive is building an IoT kind of product ecosystem from scratch for that car. Are there learnings from that you'd like to share with us, or you are able to share with us?
Yes, sure. So first, the IoT platform from HPE is coming from the telco industry. So it's not, we didn't build the IoT platform from scratch. So we are providing a lot of software to the telco industry and use that software to build our own IoT platform. And as it scales, so we are managing China Mobile with 800 million of customers. We are sure that this can scale also for automotive. And the idea was to show really real-time capability. Because if I make use cases that have to interact with the sensors of the car, it must be near real time. And if I think about autonomous driving, it's very, very important for that. So we proved that with the R&D from BMW, and it worked based on standard protocols and the platform. And the big problem from all these premium brands especially is they are on the way with the connected car since many, many years. So they have a history. They have a platform. There are millions of cars already connected to that. So how do you change that? So you cannot throw out the old world and put a brand new one. So we have to see how we put the new ones. But all premium car manufacturers, I think you are also discussing with them, are looking to build a new platform based on standards to make it affordable, to integrate other partners. And yes, the BMW A3 was also here in Barcelona in the Mobile World Congress. So it's, I spoke with some people. It's a known use case, and but we are far away till that we see a standard IoT platform with real-time capabilities at the OEM side, perhaps except of Tesla.
Thank you. Thomas, you mentioned AppDirect race. Was it $240 million US? I wish my IT budget was as big. So fundamentally, this is the R&D that went into investment into the cloud to get the business to where it is now.
Yep.
Where is your next big investment going to be?
I think it's not just a next big investment. We're investing on a daily basis. We have more and more developers, engineers. We are a fast-growing company in the Silicon Valley. So, and we know that we are a bit ahead of probably the others. So we have to use that to stay ahead and try to, especially learning from different markets. So we've been involved in telcos. Now what we are seeing in the automotive is very key for us, because this is the same type of platform, but we see some different needs and behaviors. Okay, the user experience is slightly different. So we are learning and we are enhancing, improving our platform and the capabilities, because we are a technology. So we are providing a technology, but we need to answer needs, requirements today, and that's how we are investing.
We touched during the day, there was a little bit of a theme of different kind of two paces of the telco and technology and the pace of automotive. Julien, as part of the Orange Group, is the B2C and is proper telco. You know everything about every customer. There aren't many things that you don't know. How do you teach the car manufacturers? How do you get that across?
That's a very good question. A few comments before answering the question. We know it's true that telcos know a lot about their customers. there are some rules to respect and some elements about legislation, data privacy, and so on. And we learned a lot at Orange in this field, so we are super champions on data anonymization right now, due to the past. But it's true that I think the car industry can learn from the telco industry on the digital experience, on what a customer journey is. But we are also learning. We learned already a lot from the car industry on with their needs on manufacturing cars, the fact that they needed SIMs and not to activate them from day one. So there are discrepancies between SIM cards, which stands in your smartphone here, and a SIM card that will remain in a vehicle for 20 years. The good thing is that I think the telco industry has understood and is far less arrogant than years ago with the car industry, and understood some of the basic needs of car manufacturers, like the eSIM, this EUICC standardization, in which Orange took a significant part, which allows car manufacturers to download an Orange profile into their vehicles and maybe swap that to a different partner after 3 years, 4 years. So meaning that even though, like you said, that there's a big challenge with the legacy park of existing vehicles with one generation 1.0 solution, at least for connectivity, that they will have the ability to, with this eSIM, to keep the same, let's say, keep their solution up and running for a few years. There's still the challenge of the networks. Like today, okay, we are using 4G, tomorrow 5G. We are experiencing a lot with some car manufacturers, with Ericsson, with Qualcomm, on the use cases that 5G will allow. You were mentioning highly autonomous driving. Latency is indeed really key, and 5G will bring a lot for this. And yeah, we need a good cooperation between the car industry and the telco industry and the IT industry to make this happening.
But this is a very interesting point what you're mentioning, because I think the autonomous car must be autonomous, so we can't depend. And let me say the cloud services is, in my opinion, from others too, is just another sensor. So you cannot depend on a connectivity to the cloud. So that's, I think we agree on that. But it is a very important sensor, providing a lot of very vital and important information. And I think it will be key to make use cases around the autonomous driving. So this is where connected car, autonomous driving, shared economy come together, or electrical vehicle as well. So, and I think the car industry have to use all that experience from the telco industry. It would be nonsense to start again and make the same failures. And I think we are in that way, in the middle of that way.
Do you think that standardization topic that we touched earlier in the day today, saying how it's highly complex and players have fundamentally different interests and their own interests closest to their hearts, do you think that this standardization, especially when it comes to autonomous driving, will actually come through the telcos?
It reminds me of a biologist who said we have Paleolithic minds, no? So in the speed of our adaptation, and we have medieval institutions and godlike technology. And I think that's the problem, yeah? Because the pace of technology, it's much faster as the adaptation time. And I don't see really a standardization even in the European Union, where you can say, okay, that will be the standard. So every OEM has started to develop an autonomous drive, but nobody knows which will be the KPIs, how to approve that by legal. So this is a big question mark, and we have to solve that, especially in Europe, because it's part of our industry.
Thank you. Question on HP in particular, if I may. Talking about technology, innovation, and reinvention, if I look at, we're sat here with a unicorn, yeah, who are coming in with, be it Google Capital or whoever, did that injection. HP is a traditional, you are a very traditional business with a strong heritage. How do you move from a certain mindset, a certain culture, a certain product portfolio into actually sitting here at a conference and being a thought leader in a space of teaching others how to take the journey?
So yes, we're a traditional company. That's why I'm wearing a tie and a suit. So, so we are as HPE in a big transformation. So we have. If you see the last 2 years of HPE, it changed completely because we are in this mode that we see, okay, IT is transforming to this hybrid IT, not only for the automotive industry, but also for other industries. We see more IT in the edge, and that's the strategy we are following because that's the market. It's not we put it, that's the market asking for that. And we see a big shift to cloud services, of course, and we see also the need to answer to that. So why are we here and why do we do connected cars? Because we are an engineering company as well. We are always have been, that is our heritage. We have always worked with partners. We are an open company for that. For example, all the use cases we did with these cars are with engineering partners. Because we have no idea about the car, they have no idea about IT, so we put a partnership together with an engineering company from VW called EAV, and with them together we realized, and I think this is the way, we have to open to partnerships. That's the only way to keep pace with that technology.
Okay, sorry, I see we've run out of time. Oh, sorry, a question? Yeah?
Well, I know you're out of time, but you're alluding to it, Gustavo, about the DSRC standard-based solution. So what about the infrastructure side? So what happens if you get any thought to the fact that government will be building out a pre-standards-based infrastructure that based right now in the States is based on DSRC. So what happens if the infrastructure communication point gets down that path of a fixed infrastructure? Government will not be able to evolve in a very short period of time. And so have your companies given that any consideration of the building of kind of a duality of business case analysis, assuming the possibility that governments will be building a DSRC-based system long before they will default to telecoms and 5G? It's the end of the time, but that's the question I had in the last session too, if they've given that any thought.
So you want to open the debate of 11P versus LTE V2X, and is that the question? I'm sorry, but the sound was...
No, merely it's a question of if government expends the resources to start deploying technology on the infrastructure side. So currently all the tier ones and the OEMs are building that technology on DSRC. It'll communicate to a SPAT signal on DSRC. So if it evolves in 3 years to something else, government won't have any money to say, oh, well, let's just change it all. So have you given an analysis that there's a possibility that the infrastructure may be built on something that is not easily adaptable to something else?
I'm happy actually to follow up with you after that on this because it's a complicated question, but just to try to answer it quickly, I think at least industry players, so automotive industry, network operators through 5G AA and some other forums and organizations are more or less heading towards car-to-car communication using the telecom infrastructure without the need to go to the heart of the network with car-to-car communication from a device to device without the need to go. And yes, there is a mandate in the US with DSRC. We'll see if this Obama administration mandate is going to survive. I can give you a personal opinion, but yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a clear sign. It's time to have a short break, and we see you back here at 10 minutes past 5. Thank you very much. And thank you to the panelists. Thank you.